When you close your eyes at night and fall into the world of dreams, who is the one that sees them? When you laugh in a dream, when you cry, when you run through endless fields or fall from impossible heights? Who is the witness? Is it you? Or is it something deeper, something beyond the body, beyond even thought? Buddhism has wrestled with this mystery for more than 2,500 years. And tonight, let us travel together, through history, through philosophy, through the daily practices of monks and ordinary people alike, to uncover a luminous truth. The awareness that sees your dreams is the same awareness that sees your waking life. And within it lies the key to freedom, compassion, and peace. Long ago, in the 6th century BCE, in the fertile plains of northern India, a prince was born in the Shakya clan. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. Surrounded by luxury, comfort, and the protection of palace walls, Siddhartha had everything that most would call happiness. Yet deep in his heart, he felt an unease. He looked at the celebrations of his people, the laughter of children, the beauty of nature, and yet he could not escape a whisper within, "All of this will pass." The palace could hide him for only so long. One day, he rode out, and he saw what he had been shielded from: an old man, bent and frail. Another day, he saw sickness, another, death. And finally, a monk, serene, peaceful, walking with dignity. In those encounters, his world shattered. How could life, so fragile and fleeting, hold any true happiness? He left his palace, his wife, and his newborn son. He left behind wealth and comfort in search of something eternal, something real. For 6 long years he wandered. He practiced with ascetics, nearly starved himself, and meditated under countless trees. But nothing gave him the answer. Finally, under the great Bodhi tree, he sat. He vowed not to rise until he discovered the truth. He confronted his own desires, fears, and illusions. And when dawn broke, Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, the awakened one. But what was he awakened to? He saw that life, both in dreams and waking, is shaped by desire, by clinging, by ignorance of who we truly are. He saw that everything changes. Youth fades, health crumbles, loved ones pass away. Yet he also saw that beneath this cycle of birth and death, of joy and sorrow, there is a silent witness, an awareness that never comes, never goes. That awareness, the one that knows your dreams, is the doorway to freedom. From this awakening flowed the Four Noble Truths. Life contains suffering. Suffering is born from craving and attachment. Liberation is possible. And the path to it is the Noble Eightfold Path. Right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These are not rules to be followed blindly, but guideposts to help us live with compassion, clarity, and freedom. The Buddha's teachings spread like light carried by the wind. From India, they traveled eastward to Sri Lanka, across the Himalayas, to Tibet, through China and Japan, and eventually around the world. Kings and emperors embraced them, poets and monks sang of them, and countless ordinary people found refuge in them. In ancient monasteries, monks rose at dawn, their heads shaved, their robes simple. They gathered for chanting, sat in silent meditation, and walked slowly, mindfully, as if each step touched eternity. They ate only what was offered, bowed in humility, and devoted their lives to realizing the truth the Buddha had seen under the Bodhi tree. Even now, across the world, in Thailand, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Japan, Tibet, Korea, and beyond, millions follow the rhythms of this tradition. Some sit cross-legged before statues of the Buddha, whispering mantras, lighting candles, offering flowers. Others walk quietly through temples, their hearts softened by the sound of gongs and the scent of incense. And even those who never enter a temple often carry the teachings in their daily lives, practicing kindness, compassion, mindfulness, and forgiveness. At the heart of it all is one question: who is aware? When you sit in meditation, thoughts appear like clouds. Memories rise, worries unfold, dreams drift across the mind's sky. Yet, behind them all, there is awareness, clear, luminous, unshaken. Buddhism points to this awareness not as something you must create, but as something you must recognize. It has always been here. It was here before your first breath. It will remain after your last. To understand this is to begin to live differently. Imagine waking in the morning and realizing that every thought, every feeling, every sensation is like a dream. You begin to see anger rising and you watch it fade. You see joy arise and you let it pass. You notice fear, you notice love, you notice desire, and in each you are no longer trapped because you know, I am not this thought. I am the one who sees it. This realization does not make life cold or distant. On the contrary, it makes life more precious. Because if every moment is fleeting, then every moment is sacred. To love someone knowing they will one day leave is to love more deeply, more tenderly. To breathe with awareness, knowing that each breath is unique, is to live fully. This is why Buddhism teaches compassion. When you see that your own dreams are fleeting, you also see that the joys and sorrows of others are just as fragile. You cannot turn away from suffering because you know it as your own. Compassion, then, is not pity, but a natural flowering of wisdom. And so today, in our modern world of rushing schedules, glowing screens, and restless desires, Buddhism still whispers the same truth. Slow down, be present, live kindly. Notice the awareness behind your thoughts, the silence between your words, the stillness within your heart. Mindfulness has entered hospitals, schools, and workplaces. Scientists study meditation and find it heals the brain, lowers stress, and awakens creativity. But beyond all science and studies, what truly matters is this. Mindfulness reconnects us with ourselves, with others, with the living world. So tonight, as you close your eyes and drift into dreams, ask yourself, who is aware of my dreams? Notice the awareness that watches silently, without judgment. And when you awaken, ask the same question, who is aware of my waking life? The answer is the same. The one who knows your dreams also knows your laughter, your tears, your fears, your triumphs. That awareness is untouched, eternal, and in recognizing it, you are already free. The Buddha did not ask us to believe blindly. He asked us to look within, to see directly. His life, from prince to wanderer, from seeker to awakened one, is a reminder. The truth cannot be found outside. It is discovered in the stillness of your own heart. So remember this: your dreams rise and fall. Your thoughts come and go. But awareness, the one that sees, remains. And in that awareness, you will find peace beyond fear, joy beyond circumstance, and love without end. The story of the Buddha's awakening is not just a tale from long ago. It is a mirror held up to us here and now. Because every one of us is Siddhartha. Every one of us looks at the world, sees its fleeting joys, its hidden suffering, and feels a restlessness deep inside. We too are searching for meaning beyond what our eyes can see. After his enlightenment, under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha did not keep his realization hidden. Out of compassion, he rose and walked the dusty roads of India, teaching farmers, kings, beggars, and monks alike. He spoke not in riddles, but in simple truths. He pointed to the mind, to suffering, to the possibility of release. And people listened. Because his words were not philosophy alone, they were medicine. Medicine for the wounded heart, for the restless mind, for the endless cycle of craving. He taught the Four Noble Truths, not as abstract ideas, but as steps toward healing. First, recognize suffering. Look honestly at life and at sickness, aging, death, loneliness, disappointment. Do not turn away. To see suffering clearly is the beginning of wisdom. Second, see its cause. Suffering arises because we cling to pleasures, to possessions, to people, to identities. Like someone holding fire and wondering why their hand burns, we cling to what cannot last and wonder why we feel pain. Third, know that suffering can end. Like fire that goes out when there is no fuel, craving can be released. Freedom is possible not in some distant future, but here, now, in this very breath. And fourth, follow the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the way of balance, a life guided by wisdom, by compassion, by mindfulness. It is not a command, but a gentle invitation to speak truthfully, to act kindly, to earn a living without harm, to keep the mind steady, to walk in the world with open eyes and an open heart. These teachings spread across India, carried by disciples who memorized the Buddha's words. Later, kings like Ashoka engraved them on pillars of stone, declaring compassion and nonviolence as guiding lights for entire nations. From India, they crossed oceans and mountains, shaping cultures and civilizations. In China, Buddhism mingled with Taoist philosophy, creating schools of Chan and later Zen, with their mysterious koans and sudden flashes of insight. In Tibet, it became a vast, colorful path of rituals, mantras, and yogic practices. In Japan, it flourished as Zen gardens, tea ceremonies, and the art of living simply. Wherever it went, Buddhism adapted like water, clear, flowing, taking the shape of each land while carrying the same essence, the discovery of awareness. But even as the centuries turned, one question echoed unchanged: who is aware? When you see a flower, the awareness of the flower arises. When you hear a bird, the awareness of sound is present. When you dream, a whole universe may appear, yet still, there is something that knows it. That knowing is the same across waking and dreaming, joy and sorrow, life and death. It is the thread that ties everything together. The Buddha called this prajna, wisdom. It is not knowledge stored in books, but a direct seeing into the nature of reality. And when you touch it, even for a moment, the world appears different. You realize that life is not happening to you. It is happening through you. That you are not merely the dreamer nor the dream. You are the awareness that holds them both. In monasteries and meditation halls, this wisdom is cultivated every day. Monks and nuns sit in silence, watching the breath, watching thoughts rise and fall until the mind grows quiet like a still lake. And in that stillness, a simple truth shines. I am awareness itself. I am not my thoughts, not my fears, not even my dreams. I am the one who knows them. This realization brings freedom. Because when anger arises, you see it as passing weather. When sorrow arises, you see it as a cloud in the sky. When joy arises, you do not cling, because you know it too will pass. You are free, not because life has changed, but because you no longer mistake the changing for the eternal. And so the question, who is aware of your dreams, is not just a riddle. It is the beginning of awakening. Today, more than 2.5 millennia after the Buddha walked barefoot along the dusty roads of India, his teachings continue to live in countless hearts. If you travel to Thailand or Myanmar, you will see monks in saffron robes walking silently at dawn, bowls in hand, receiving offerings from villagers who kneel humbly before them. In Tibet, prayer flags flutter across mountain passes, carrying mantras on the wind to bless all beings. In Japan, the sound of temple bells echoes across still gardens, calling people to pause, to breathe, to remember what is sacred. But Buddhism is not only found in temples, monasteries, or rituals. It lives in the simplest of gestures: a smile given to a stranger, forgiveness offered to someone who has hurt us, patience in the face of anger, kindness when it is least convenient. In these small acts, the great heart of Buddhism beats quietly, gently, endlessly. Many Buddhists begin their day with a bow. That bow is not only to the Buddha as a person of history, but to the awakened nature within themselves. The lighting of a candle or an incense stick is not merely a ritual. It is a reminder that life itself is like smoke, fragile and fleeting, yet beautiful. Chanting is not just sound. It is vibration that harmonizes the mind, softens the heart, and awakens clarity. Meditation, of course, is central. Some focus on the breath, feeling its rise and fall like waves on the shore. Others repeat mantras, sacred syllables that carry power. Others visualize light, compassion, or even the Buddha himself seated in stillness. Whatever the form, the essence is the same: to turn the mind inward, to see its movements, and to discover the awareness that never moves. Lay practitioners, ordinary people with families, jobs, and responsibilities, often practice Buddhism not by renouncing the world, but by transforming the way they live in it. They observe the 5 precepts: not to kill, not to steal, not to lie, not to misuse sexuality, and not to cloud the mind with intoxicants. These are not commandments handed down by authority, but gentle guardrails to protect the mind and the heart. And in everyday life, mindfulness becomes the true temple. Eating is done slowly, tasting each bite, aware of the effort it took to bring food to the table. Walking is done with attention, each step a reminder of being alive. Speaking is done with care, knowing words can heal or harm. Listening is done with compassion, offering presence as the greatest gift. In this way, the practice is not separate from life. It is life. Washing dishes, raising children, driving to work, all become opportunities to awaken. Because in every moment, one question shines: who is aware? When you stir a pot of soup, who is noticing the fragrance? When you hear laughter, who is aware of the sound? When you feel anger boiling in your chest, who is the one who knows it? This simple turning of attention transforms the ordinary into the sacred. And what does it give in return? Peace. Not the peace of escaping the world, but the peace of being fully present in it. Compassion. Not as a duty, but as a natural response when you see others suffer as you do. Wisdom. Not as words memorized, but as a quiet knowing that everything changes and that clinging to passing things brings pain. This is why the influence of Buddhism has spread far beyond temples and monasteries. In schools across the world, children are now taught mindfulness, to pause, to breathe, to notice their thoughts without judgment. In hospitals, patients learn meditation to ease pain and anxiety. In workplaces, people discover how a few minutes of stillness can bring clarity and kindness into decisions. Buddhism has stepped gently into modern life, not as an ancient relic, but as a living medicine. It does not demand that you change your religion, your culture, or your identity. It simply asks, can you be present? Can you live with compassion? Can you see the awareness that knows your dreams and let it guide you? Look around at the world we live in today. Everywhere, life seems to move faster than ever. The glow of screens pulls our attention in 1,000 directions. Notifications, messages, deadlines, and endless choices fill our days. We chase success, approval, wealth, and pleasures, yet somehow, when the noise fades, we feel empty, restless, longing for something we cannot name. And it is here, in this modern age of constant motion, that the voice of the Buddha rises, again, gentle but clear. Slow down. Look within. The peace you seek is already here. Buddhism has quietly entered our world in ways both small and vast. Mindfulness programs are now taught in schools, helping children manage stress and anxiety. Before it takes root, doctors recommend meditation to patients with high blood pressure, depression, or chronic pain, and science confirms what the Buddha saw long ago. When the mind is calm, the body heals. In business, leaders practice mindful leadership, making decisions not only for profit but for people and planet. In prisons, inmates learn to meditate, finding a freedom that walls cannot take away. In conflict zones, Buddhist peacemakers bring compassion where anger and violence once reigned. But perhaps the greatest gift Buddhism offers to modern life is this: a reminder that our value does not come from what we own, what we achieve, or how others see us. It comes from our awareness itself, the silent presence that has been with us since birth, the one who watches dreams, the one who knows every thought. Think of how different our world would be if people lived with this understanding. Imagine politicians pausing before speaking, aware of the weight their words carry. Imagine parents listening deeply to their children without distraction, without judgment. Imagine strangers on the street meeting each other not with suspicion or indifference, but with kindness, knowing that all of us share the same fragile human heart. This is not a dream. It is already happening. Slowly, quietly, Buddhism is influencing the very way we think about happiness, success, and life itself. In the West, yoga and meditation have become doorways to deeper awareness. In the East, ancient traditions are being rediscovered by new generations who want wisdom beyond material wealth. Across the globe, people are asking, what truly matters? What remains when everything else fades? And always, the question returns, who is aware of your dreams? Because if you can see that the same awareness that watches your dream is the one that watches your waking life, then you touch something timeless. You realize that beneath your titles, your struggles, your hopes, and your fears, you are awareness itself, vast, luminous, unbroken. The Buddha's words, spoken under the shade of the Bodhi tree so many centuries ago, now echo across satellites, across books, across digital screens. They reach people he could never have imagined, living in times he could never have known. And yet, their truth remains as fresh as morning dew. Suffering can end. Compassion is possible. Freedom is here. And so, in this restless world of endless noise, Buddhism offers a refuge, not in escape, but in presence. Not in some other world, but in this very breath, this very step, this very moment. So now we return to the question we began with, who is aware of your dreams? Perhaps by now the answer feels different. You see that your dreams, bright or dark, joyful or fearful, are not who you truly are. They are passing clouds. You are the sky that holds them. The same is true of your waking life. Every thought, every emotion, every experience arises and falls away. But awareness, the one who knows, remains. The Buddha's journey began as the story of one man's search for truth. But in his awakening, he revealed the story of all humanity. For each of us is born, grows old, faces joy and sorrow, and one day will pass. Yet within each of us is a light that does not die, a presence that is never lost. This is why the Buddha's teachings have touched millions across time and culture. They are not bound by temples or robes or rituals, though these are beautiful expressions of devotion. They are not limited to monks or scholars. They belong to everyone and to anyone who has ever asked, who am I? Why do I suffer? How can I be free? And the answer is not found in distant heavens, not hidden in secret scriptures, not waiting in another lifetime. It is here, now. In this very awareness that is listening to these words, the Buddha said, be a lamp unto yourself. This does not mean to walk alone, but to realize that the flame of wisdom is already burning within you. Teachers can point the way, scriptures can guide, communities can support, but ultimately it is your own awareness that reveals the truth. So tonight, when you lie down and dreams come to visit, pause for a moment. Notice them. Feel them rise. Feel them dissolve. And when you wake, carry that same noticing into your day. Watch your thoughts with gentle eyes, your emotions with patience, your actions with kindness. Live with the awareness that you are more than the stories of your mind. If you practice this even a little, your life will change. The ordinary will become extraordinary. The fragile will become precious. The fleeting will be filled with meaning. And the love you offer to others will flow without effort, because you will see them not as strangers, but as fellow travelers in this vast dream of life. Buddhism is not about becoming someone else. It is about awakening to what you already are. Awareness itself, compassion itself, peace itself. And so I leave you with this. You are not the dreamer, nor the dream. You are the awareness that holds both. Eternal, boundless, free. The Buddha discovered this truth beneath the Bodhi tree more than 2,000 years ago. Tonight, you can discover it in your own heart. And when you do, you will know. The answer to who is aware of your dreams has always been, you are.